There are thousands of victims of forced sterilization in America today. Forced sterilization was an aspect of the eugenics movement in America practiced by distinguished scientists at leading colleges and universities, including Harvard, Stanford, and Princeton. U.S. citizens could be classified as feeble-minded and therefore inappropriate candidates for reproduction based on qualities such as economic status and lack of education. If you were poor and uneducated, both of which were common during the Great Depression and in the decades that immediately followed, state officials could classify you as feeble-minded. This science was embraced by some of America's wealthiest families who were concerned about protecting America's gene pool. They supported it through their tax-exempt foundations. Even today, a few well-known scientists have and continue to publicly advocate for forced sterilization in America as a measure of population control. Included among this group is John Holdren, who co-authored Ecoscience in 1977. Mr. Holdren is currently the director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. Prominent American biologists Charles Davenport and Harry Laughlin led a group of like-minded scientists during the 19th century that argued for the government to weed out degenerate members of society under the guise of saving America from the social ills of prostitution, alcoholism, ignorance, birth defects, poverty, and crime. These were societal elements that they blamed on bad genes. Harry Laughlin's theories were used by many states to pass forced sterilization laws. His theories were also the basis for the eugenic movement in Nazi Germany in 1934, following Hitler's power consolidation in the Third Reich. This science was exported from America to Nazi Germany, embraced by Adolf Hitler, and practiced by Dr. Joseph Mengele targeting Europe's Jewish population. Mengele became known as the Angel of Death and is recognized as one of the most infamous men associated with the death camps during the Holocaust. North Carolina and 31 other states passed laws authorizing the forced sterilization of poor Americans classified as feeble-minded. North Carolina is the only state actively considering compensation for the more than 1,500 surviving victims of forced sterilization. North Carolina's Governor, Beverly Perdue, appointed a task force that has recommended payment of $50,000 for each surviving victim. This recommendation requires approval by the North Carolina legislature. North Carolina is the only state to suggest reparations, despite the fact that many other states, including California, allowed these types of operations to take place. In California, 20,108 forced sterilization cases have been reported, roughly one-third of reported cases nationwide. State courts have dismissed claims for compensation related to forced sterilization based on a failure to file such claims within a fixed period of time as prescribed under state law. However, there appears to be no rational basis for treating forced sterilization-related claims differently from Holocaust claims that have been recognized by many American courts even though similar time-related statutes exist. Indiana was the first state to pass a sterilization law in 1907. California and Washington were quick to follow. The U.S. Supreme Court, led by William Howard Taft, upheld the first test case in 1927 from the Commonwealth of Virginia. In Buck v. Bell, Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, writing for the majority, stated, "It is better for the world if instead of waiting to execute degenerate offspring for crime, or to let them starve for their imbeciles, society can prevent those who are manifestly unfit from continuing their kind." The prosecutor in Buck v. Bell represented to the court that the victim was promiscuous when in fact she had been raped. Oregon was the last state to perform a forced sterilization in 1981. Following revelations concerning forced sterilization in Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1945, such sterilizations continued and even increased in certain states during the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, coinciding with the publication of John Holdren's book, Ecoscience. In the 1970s, federal funding for sterilizations was increased by the Nixon administration. Forced sterilization was a matter of state and federal policy. Should individuals who underwent forced sterilization be compensated by the states that authorized the policy? Please share your response with your state legislators and governor by visiting electedface.org right now and signing our petition.